The coffee cup shattered against the marble floor, and Marcus Chun didn't even flinch. He'd been standing in the corridor of Horizon Innovation's 72nd floor when his assistant David Park delivered the news that made his hand go numb. "Sir, the Chicago Board of Education just leaked our proposal to the press. They're calling it a publicity stunt. Social media is tearing us apart." Marcus stared at the Chicago skyline through floor-to-ceiling windows, his reflection ghostly against the afternoon sun. $42 billion. 175,000 employees across 6 continents. And he couldn't buy back the one thing that mattered. "Cancel everything," Marcus said quietly. "Sir, the signing ceremony is tomorrow. $4.2 billion. The mayor, the superintendent, every news outlet in the Midwest will be there." Marcus touched the silver bracelet on his wrist, running his thumb over the Taiwanese characters Linda had engraved there 2 months before ALS stole her voice. "Worth is measured in kindness, not currency." He could still hear her final words, barely a whisper. "You've forgotten what it feels like to be powerless. Promise me you'll remember. I need to know if this city deserves our money, David. I need to take a walk." David's face went pale. "Not another invisible walk. Sir, please. Last time in Boston, you nearly got arrested. The time before in Miami you. 4 hours. If Chicago passes the test, we sign tomorrow. If it fails, we pull out completely and redirect the funds to Minneapolis. You're risking a $4 billion initiative on a walk through the city?" Marcus was already loosening his tie. "I'm risking nothing. I'm discovering the truth. There's a difference." 30 minutes later, Marcus stepped onto Michigan Avenue wearing a faded jacket from Goodwill, torn jeans, and sneakers held together with duct tape. He'd left his Patek Philippe watch in the safe, removed his wedding ring, kept only Linda's bracelet. If you love deep, emotional storytelling and billionaire conflicts that feel real and raw, join the Prime Story Hub family. Like, subscribe, and stay with us and let us know where you're watching from, because every story here pulls you deeper into a world you'll never want to leave. In the reflection of a store window, he saw what others would see, just another invisible man, another face in the crowd that warranted no attention, no respect, no basic human decency. The first test came within 3 blocks. A woman in a business suit bumped into him hard enough to make him stumble. She didn't apologize, didn't even glance back. A businessman talking loudly on his phone shoved past, treating Marcus like a piece of sidewalk furniture. At the corner, a mother pulling 2 children crossed the street when she saw him approaching, her hand tightening protectively on her daughter's shoulder. Marcus felt the familiar tightness in his chest. This was why Linda had made him promise. This invisible wall between the powerful and the powerless, between the seen and the unseen. He walked into a coffee shop, the kind of upscale place where a single cup cost $8. The barista, a young man with carefully styled hair, looked past Marcus to the well-dressed customer behind him. "I can help. Who's next?" "I'm next," Marcus said. The barista's eyes finally landed on him, traveling from his worn shoes to his weathered jacket. "We have a $5 minimum for credit cards." "I have cash." "Let me see it first." Marcus pulled out a $20 bill, one of 5 he'd brought. The barista took it like it might be contaminated, held it up to the light checking for forgery. The customers behind Marcus shifted impatiently. Someone muttered something about homeless people taking over the neighborhood. "Small coffee, black," Marcus said. The barista returned with exact change, no smile, no have a nice day, nothing. Marcus took his coffee to a corner table and watched. The next customer, a woman in designer heels, paid with a card well under the $5 minimum. The barista smiled warmly, asked about her weekend, told her to have a wonderful day. Marcus stood and walked back out into the Chicago afternoon. The sky was clear, the kind of crystalline blue that Linda had loved. He remembered pushing her wheelchair through Grant Park 2 springs ago, before the disease had progressed too far, before the treatments had stopped working. She'd looked up at him and said, "When I'm gone, don't let yourself forget what it's like down here, at ground level where real people live." He'd promised. This was how he kept that promise. Lincoln Park was busy with joggers, families, young professionals eating lunch on benches. Marcus found an empty spot under an oak tree and sat down, just watching the flow of humanity. A jogger approached on the path and Marcus shifted his legs to give her room. She stopped, glaring. Can you move? You're blocking the whole path. Marcus stood, backed away. Sorry, God, get a job, she said, and jogged away. He walked deeper into the park. A police officer on a bicycle rolled up beside him, casual but clearly assessing. Afternoon. Can I see some ID? Marcus reached slowly for his wallet, pulled out his driver's license. The officer studied it for a long moment, comparing the polished headshot to the weathered face in front of him. Marcus Chun. You live on Lake Shore Drive. Yes, officer. That's a pretty exclusive address. What are you doing out here? Taking a walk. The officer's eyes narrowed. We've had complaints about loitering in this area. People sleeping rough, asking for money. You understand why that makes residents uncomfortable. I'm not asking anyone for money. I'm sitting on a public bench in a public park. I'm going to need you to move along anyway. For everyone's comfort. Marcus stood without arguing, walked away feeling the officer's eyes on his back until he disappeared around a curve in the path. This was what Linda had understood, what she tried to make him see. Power wasn't just about money or influence. It was about who got to exist in public spaces without justification, without explanation, without fear. The afternoon was stretching toward evening when Marcus found himself on a quieter street, away from the magnificent mile's glittering facade. His stomach was empty, his feet ached, and something deeper inside him felt bruised. He'd been invisible for 4 hours and the city had shown him exactly what it thought of invisible people. The Blue Door Diner sat on a corner, its neon sign flickering. Established 1952, according to the peeling letters on the window. Family owned. Marcus pushed through the door and immediately felt the atmosphere change. Conversations died down. Eyes turned toward him, assessments made in seconds. A young hostess named Brittany, according to her name tag, stood at the podium. Her smile evaporated when she saw him. Can I help you? Table for one, please. She glanced back toward the dining room. There were maybe 8 or 10 tables occupied in a space that held at least 60. We're actually pretty full right now. The wait would be at least 45 minutes. Marcus looked past her at the empty booths. Those tables are all empty. They're reserved. For who? A man emerged from the kitchen area, late 40s, name tag reading Rick Donovan, manager. He assessed the situation with one glance. Problem here, Brittany? This gentleman would like a table, but we're fully committed for the evening. Rick looked at Marcus the way someone might look at a stain on their shirt. Sir, this is a family establishment. We have the right to refuse service to anyone who might make our customers uncomfortable. I'm not making anyone uncomfortable. I just want dinner. The answer is no. I'm going to have to ask you to leave. A well-dressed man in a corner booth, mid-40s with a kind of expensive haircut that costs more than most people's monthly rent, looked up from his phone. Finally, someone doing something about it. This is exactly why this neighborhood's going downhill. Pretty soon you can't even have a decent meal without these people wandering in off the street. Several other customers nodded in agreement. Marcus saw someone holding up their phone, recording. This moment, his humiliation, would probably be online within minutes. Another viral video of society's casual cruelty. He was turning to leave, feeling the weight of failure settling over him like a shroud, when a voice cut through the tension. Wait. A young woman emerged from behind the counter, 24 or 25, dark hair pulled back in a practical ponytail, wearing the diner's standard uniform but carrying herself with unmistakable dignity. Her name tag read Maya Rodriguez. She was staring at Marcus's wrist, at Linda's silver bracelet catching the fluorescent light. She walked directly toward him, and when she spoke, it was in flawless Mandarin.
先生，那个手镯上的字很美，请让我为您安排座位。
Sir, those characters on your bracelet are beautiful. Please let me seat you. The diner went absolutely silent. Marcus felt something crack open inside his chest, something that had been sealed shut for 2 years. He responded in Mandarin, his voice breaking slightly.
你会说中文？
You speak Chinese?
我在台北学了1个学期。
I studied for a semester in Taipei. Maya turned to Rick, switching back to English. I'm seating this gentleman in my section. Rick's face flushed red. Maya, we've discussed this. We have standards here. We have a responsibility to our other customers. Our responsibility is to treat every human being with dignity and respect. That's the standard I'm upholding. If you seat him, you're fired. I mean it this time. Maya picked up a menu, held it against her chest like a shield. Then fire me, Rick. But I won't stand here and watch you treat someone like they're invisible. Not today. Not ever again. She walked toward an empty booth by the window and gestured for Marcus to follow. He did, feeling every eye in the restaurant tracking his movement. Maya set down the menu, pulled out a chair, and brought him a glass of water without being asked. Her hands were shaking slightly, but her voice was steady. I apologize for that welcome. You deserve better. Everyone deserves better. Marcus looked up at her, this young woman who just risked her livelihood for a stranger, and felt tears threatening. Why? Because language isn't just communication. It's recognition. When I speak someone's language, I'm saying you're not invisible to me. You matter. Your culture matters. Your humanity matters. She paused, glancing back toward Rick, who was conferring urgently with Brittany. And because my mother taught me that how we treat people when they have nothing to offer us, that's who we really are. Your mother sounds wise. She has MS. I work 3 jobs to help pay her medical bills and support my little brother. Maya pulled out her order pad. What can I get you, sir? Just soup is fine. Whatever the special is. She wrote it down, then hesitated. That bracelet.
The character's 价值在于仁慈.
Worth is measured in kindness. That's a profound truth. My wife had it made. She died 2 years ago. I'm so sorry. Maya's eyes glistened. She must have been an incredible person. She was. She believed that the world would be saved by people who build bridges instead of walls. People like you. Maya smiled sadly. I tried building bridges. Wrote my whole senior thesis at DePaul about it. Language as economic bridge, how multilingual education could close opportunity gaps, create pathways out of poverty. I sent it to every foundation in the country. Got 87 rejection letters, including one from Horizon Innovations. Marcus felt like he'd been punched. Horizon rejected your thesis? Form letter. Thank you for your interest, but your proposal doesn't align with our current funding priorities. It's fine. I'm used to doors closing. You learn to find windows. She headed toward the kitchen with his order. Marcus sat there, Linda's bracelet warm against his skin, thinking about bridge builders and wallmakers, about the young woman who just offended him and the thesis his own foundation had been too blind to recognize. The man from the corner booth, the one with the expensive haircut, approached Marcus's table. Up close, his cologne was overwhelming, his smile predatory. Hey, I just want to apologize for what I said earlier. I didn't mean anything by it. Just having a rough day, you know how it is. He extended his hand. Chad Brennan. I develop properties all over the Gold Coast. Marcus didn't shake his hand. You meant every word. You just don't know who I am yet. What's that supposed to mean? The front door burst open and David Park rushed in, followed by 3 members of Marcus's security team. David's face was frantic, his phone pressed to his ear. Mr. Chun, thank God. We've been trying to reach you for the last hour. Your phone's off in the board meeting. He stopped, registering the scene, the tension, the faces staring at them. Rick Donovan went very, very still. Brittany's mouth fell open. Chad Brennan stumbled backward, his expensive shoes squeaking on the linoleum floor. David's voice dropped to a whisper. Sir, you can't just disappear like this. Do you have any idea what could have happened? Marcus stood slowly, every inch the chairman of a $42 billion empire despite the thrift store clothes. He looked at Rick. You said you had standards. You said you had a responsibility to your customers. But you don't understand what those words mean. Standards aren't about who has money in their wallet. They're about having principles in your heart. He turned to Brittany. You looked at me and saw someone not worth your time, not worth basic courtesy, not worth existing in your space. You didn't know who I was, so you felt entitled to cruelty. That tells me everything about who you are. Chad Brennan was backing toward the door, his face the color of old snow. Marcus fixed him with a stare. And you? You judged my worth by my clothes, by my appearance. I judge your worth by your character. And sir, you are bankrupt. The diner was a tableau of frozen shock. Someone's phone was still recording. Maya emerged from the kitchen with Marcus's soup, stopped dead when she saw the security team, saw the transformation in Marcus's bearing, saw the truth settling over the room like dawn. "Oh my God," she whispered. Marcus walked to her, gently took the bowl of soup from her trembling hands. "Thank you, Maya. For seeing me. For treating me like a human being when everyone else saw something less than that. For risking everything because you believe in kindness." He pulled out his business card, the simple one with just his name and a private number, and placed it in her hand. "Call this number tomorrow morning at 9. We have important work to discuss. Your thesis wasn't wrong. My foundation was wrong to reject it. That's going to change. I don't understand." "You will." He turned to David. "Make sure Maya gets home safely tonight. Pay her what she would have earned in tips for a full shift. Actually, pay her a full month's wages. She's about to lose this job because of me." "I already quit," Maya said quietly. "The moment I saw who you really were, I knew I couldn't work for someone like Rick anymore." Rick tried to speak, tried to apologize, but Marcus held up a hand. "Save it. I've heard everything I needed to hear. The recording of this encounter will be on social media within the hour. How you respond to that, what kind of person you choose to become after this, that's up to you. But this conversation is over." 1 week later, Marcus stood in the brilliant atrium of Horizon Innovation's Chicago headquarters, watching Maya Rodriguez walk through the door with her head high, wearing a new suit, carrying a tablet loaded with her thesis. Her student loans had been paid off. Her mother's medical bills were covered. Her little brother had a full scholarship to any college he chose. The Education Equity Initiative had been restructured from the ground up. $4.2 billion, now focusing on multilingual education, cultural competency training, community-led decision-making. It was called the Linda Chen Education Initiative. Maya Rodriguez chaired the advisory board. At the public signing ceremony, in front of every news outlet in the Midwest, Marcus told the story of his walk through Chicago. He told them about coffee shop baristas and police officers and a hostess who saw him as less than human. He told them about a young waitress who'd seen his wife's bracelet and spoken to him in Mandarin, who'd recognized his humanity when everyone else saw only his appearance. "My wife believed the world would be saved by bridge builders, not wall makers," Marcus said, his hand resting on Linda's bracelet. "Maya Rodriguez built a bridge when everyone else was laying bricks. She didn't know who I was, what I could offer her, whether I could do anything for her career or her future. She just knew what was right. That's not just character. That's courage. That's humanity. That's what we're investing in." Maya stood beside him at the podium, tears streaming down her face, as they signed the documents that would transform education for hundreds of thousands of children across Chicago. In the audience, her mother sat in her wheelchair, her little brother holding her hand, both of them crying too. Rick Donovan had been fired within 24 hours. The Blue Door Diner had issued a public apology and donated $75,000 to immigrant advocacy organizations. Chad Brennan's $60 million development loan, backed by a Horizon-affiliated fund, had been quietly canceled. He'd lost 3 other major deals within 48 hours. But those were just consequences. The real change was happening in classrooms across the city, where children were learning that speaking someone's language wasn't just about words. It was about recognition. About saying, "I see you, I respect you, you matter." Marcus touched his wife's bracelet and felt her presence, felt her approval. He'd taken his walk through the darkness and found exactly what Linda had promised would be there: light. Not everywhere. Not in most places. But in one young woman who'd chosen kindness over comfort, courage over compliance, humanity over hierarchy. That was enough. That was everything. That was how the world got saved, one bridge at a time. If this story kept you on edge tonight, hit that subscribe button for more gripping billionaire romance thrillers right here on Prime Story Hub. Don't forget to like, share, and stay tuned. Your next obsession is only one story away.